Morning. Hey. This is the paper talk. We're live. We're in the studio. We're happy. Manchester United have won 4-1. That's insane. And Bruno Fernandes got a hat-trick, of course, so it's all gravy. We're going to be getting into all the latest headlines, a lot of them focusing on that 4-1 win over Real Sociedad and Bruno Fernandes' performance and Patrick Dorgu doing a madness. Also, we'll be getting into that. Plus, we've had a bit of transfer news, which is weird because it's a transfer that doesn't involve Manchester United in any way, shape or form, yet somehow is all about United. So we're getting into that. Before we do though, make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel. We want to get to 1 million subscribers, but before we get there, we've got to get to 800,000, so let's get there first. Loads of people in the chat already. Santa Notch's here, Akash K, Heaven Soul, who else is here? Jet is here, Robert Tater, Martin P. Good to see you all in the chat. Make sure you're hitting that like button, please, people. Should we talk about Geovany Quenda then? You can see it from some bloke called Fabrizio Romano. It says breaking. I don't know about it. What's all this? The siren and the bomb as well, is that? It's a bit much. Chelsea agree deal for Portuguese top talent Geovany Quenda. Here we go. Medical done for Quenda after secret blitz. He will join Chelsea in 2026. Club-to-club agreement complete with Sporting, and Quenda said yes to Chelsea project and Enzo Maresca's plans. Right, there's lots to unpick here. But I'll start with the obvious. If he's signing in 2026, it doesn't matter what Enzo Maresca's plans are, because the chances of him still being the Chelsea manager are almost non-existent, because Chelsea go for managers quicker than United do. But I get it. Also, he's joining in 2026, right? Now, a lot of United fans, myself included, a bit deflated when we saw this, because I honestly thought he'd end up at United. Obviously, Ruben Amorim gave him his debut at Sporting. He knows the system that Ruben Amorim plays. He fits into the system that Ruben Amorim plays. It looks like he would have been perfect. What is he, 17, 18? Very young, bright future ahead of him. It all makes sense, as the Lightning Seeds sang. But can United afford to wait a year? And what happens in that year? Because he's going there in 2026, right? United need a wing back this summer. Now, I know we've got Diego Leon coming in, in the summer, but he's 17, and it's like, I know you might go, well, Quenda's 17, but what we hear about Leon, he's coming in from Paraguay. They're going to assess him in the summer, see what his levels are like in pre-season and stuff. He might end up going out on loan, or he might be part of the squad, or he might be first team. We don't know. We'll see how he gets on, kind of thing. That's what we're hearing. So he's perhaps not one who's necessarily first team ready. And I know he's a similar age to Quenda, but Kenda's been playing in obviously a very high standard in the Champions League, in the Portuguese League, and been doing very well. And the manager knows him. So in terms of now, this summer, we need someone who can come in. Obviously, Quenda is going to Chelsea in 2026. That might have been the sort of the big selling point for Sporting, is that we can keep him for another year. Then we're going to lose him eventually, because no disrespect to Sporting, but let's be honest, they are a selling club. We sell him in a year's time, we get a load of dough, he's got a club he's happy to go with. It all makes sense. It's just a little bit annoying from a United point of view, because that seemed like a player we could get and we were in for. But we ain't, because he's got to Chelsea. Let me know what you think about this move. Let me know whether you're annoyed, disappointed, whatever. I do feel like United need to bring in a wing back this summer, and I do feel like we should have a list that's longer than just Geovany Quenda. There must be other options we are looking at. And also, you'd think that Ruben Amorim, with all his connections to Sporting, would know that Quenda ain't going to come to United. He would have had an inkling. Someone said to him, look, I think he's going to end up at Chelsea, or it's not going to happen, whatever. There must have been some sort of connection there where he found out this wasn't going to happen. So I imagine Manchester United are looking at other players. We need to be, because we definitely need a wing back, and I don't think Leon will be enough. I think we need to bring someone else in, and I expect us to. I think Leon as well is on the left. We need a right wing back. Let us know what you think. Reds Punk says, Jay, good news, Jay, we need senior players. Eugene Cassere says, Jay, we need Nani back so bad. Listen, Nani's highlight reel is mint. Nani was, on his day, one of the best players you could wish to see. However, he did have games where he would frustrate you. And what happens now, I think, is a lot of people just see the best, don't they see the highlight reels, go, oh, Nani was amazing all the time. I love Nani, I did. But there was times when, if I had hair, I would have been ripping it out. Green Alien says, his loss, not ours. Sounds like me when I get dumped. It's your loss. Tobias Nilsson says, I think we need outs before we can sign anyone. That, my friend, is a great point. United need to sell to buy. We need players moving on. We know this, right? The part owner of Manchester United did the media rounds the other day when he spoke to Dan Rowan and Gary Neville, and he basically said, we're skint. I know this might sound stupid when we've just got this new stadium coming in, but that's a different story for a different matter. In terms of transfers, we ain't got money to spend on transfers unless we sell some players. Now, there are players we can sell. Marcus Rashford, who I'm going to get to in a minute, is probably one of them. Potentially Jadon Sancho. It did look like that was a done deal. However, there is a loophole that Chelsea can pay, like basically a penalty if they decide not to buy him, rather than paying the 20 million quid to buy him. So we'll have to wait and see what happens on that front, because he's having a bit of a stinker for them at the minute. Plus there's one or two other players that you can probably get off the wage bill at least. Maybe there's some you can get a bit of money for, but it doesn't seem like there's going to be loads of players we can get loads of money for, but there might be some. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But we definitely need to move some players on before we can bring some players in. Adam Kenny says, of course, Rashford, Sancho and Anthony money. Anthony, I forgot about him, hasn't come in yet. That could be potentially like 40 million for Rashford, 20 million each for the other two. That could be about 80 million quid. Maybe that funds an attacker and a wing back. I still think we need more though. Furral Play says, losing on Quenda will suck. David Holt says, any more coming in? 89 million of it is still going towards players already built in next instalments. That's what Sir Jim Ratcliffe said, didn't he, in that interview he gave? He said, this summer we will pay out £89 million on players that are already here. And I think this is where it got a little bit confusing with his interview, because he was talking about, it felt to me like he was talking about two things at the same time, and some of them crossed over. The more I watch this interview, the more I think that might have happened, because he name-checked certain players that are still at the club, like Højlund, like Casemiro, like Onana, and he'd been talking about players that had underperformed and were overpriced and all the rest of it, and some people took that as him saying that about those players, but he also mentioned about players that we were still paying for, and I think that was where it got confusing. Was he just talking about the players we're still paying for, as in the likes of Rasmus Højlund, Andre Onana, and Casemiro, or was he saying they're the underperforming ones? It was a little bit confusing. Jack Mannion says, Quenda's stats are unbelievable. Top of all stats for under 21 winger in Europe. David O'Connor says, you can't say it's because we can't afford it now. They aren't paying him until 2026. So why couldn't we work it out? It's clear they were happy to sell even if wait. Yeah, Aaron Moore, good to see you tuning in from college as well. I mean, I genuinely think we've got to get him in this summer. I think that's a massive thing for me. I know it's like long term and you need to think about long term. I get all that, but we need players now. Look at the players we brought in as well under Ruben Amorim. Patrick Dorgu and Aiden Heaven. Those two signings are looking like absolute bargains already. Like, what was Aiden Heaven? 1.5 million. He looks like a REIT player. He's only 18 years old. He costs 1.5 million. You can't get anything. You can't get any player for 1.5 million now. There's League One players going for that. And we've managed to get a player who looks like he can do a job for Manchester United for 1.5 million and potentially has another 15 years left in his career. I mean, I think that could be a phenomenal bit of business by Manchester United. I really do. I was very, very impressed with Aiden Heaven last night. He kept getting, that's not a word. I thought he got put under a lot of pressure as well sometimes with the way Onana was playing the ball to him, but he handled it really well. Akash K says, Jay, come on, 50 million for a 17-year-old. Was never happened. Well, you say it wasn't happening, but everyone was reporting we were in for him. Everyone was reporting we were going to get him. We were talking about it constantly on here because all the papers were saying Quenda to United is going to happen. It is almost a done deal. So let's not pretend it was never happening. Forgive me. Let's talk about Bruno Fernandes. So, Manchester United skipper Bruno Fernandes says he could have left the club last summer. The 30-year-old was United's hero on Thursday night, scoring a hat-trick as they beat Real Sociedad to move into a Europa League quarter-final with Lyon. He was also singled out for praise by co-owner Jim Ratcliffe. Whoop-de-doo. But Fernandes says there had been an offer to sign him in the summer and he'd held talks with the club about his future. I sat with the club because I had an offer to leave. We talked about the possibility of me leaving the club or staying. They said what they wanted from me. I just asked if they still see me as part of the future of the club or not. I spoke at the time with Tanag also. He was very clear with me. The club was very clear with me that they thought I could be a big part of this rebuild. I thought that we could be successful. I love Bruno Fernandes. Anyone that watches this channel knows what we think about Bruno Fernandes. And it's not just because he just scored a hat-trick. Phenomenal player. Best signing we've had post Sir Alex Ferguson by a country mile. I thought, I've said it a million times and I'll keep saying it, I was so glad when he got that FA Cup final win. I know he won the Carabao, but I thought that FA Cup win was special as well, because it was like, the FA Cup is a prestigious competition. He had a great game in the final as well. That assist for Kobbie Mainoo's goal, it felt like a bit of a moment for Bruno Fernandes. You know his stats are up there with anyone in Europe, and he's been playing in a team, by and large, surrounded by underwhelming players at times. You look when he came in, the players he had around him, I think you had Herrera, you had Matic, you had Pogba in that midfield. Attack-wise, you had the likes of Mason Greenwood, Anthony Martial, Marcus Rashford were all scoring goals. I think they had like 60 goals between them that season, or not long after he joined us. He's had to deal with strikers that have been underperforming, that haven't got anywhere near those numbers. He's had to step up a lot of the time. And not just the goals and assists and the chances he creates as well. He puts a shift in, and he's always available. He's never, ever injured. It's amazing. Roy Keane had criticised him. Here's what he said about Roy Keane. He said, Roy Keane was an amazing captain for the club, one of the best, as everyone says. I didn't have the chance to see much from him, only the last few years, but he was a great player that won everything for the club. He's massively respected from everyone, and has all my respect. He has to give his opinion in a programme, and this is what he thinks about me. I don't want to copy anyone. I try to be the best captain that I can for my teammates and help everyone in the best way I know. I thought Keano was a bit OTT with his criticism of Bruno. I did. And I love Keane. He's probably my favourite player of all time. But I thought that was a bit OTT. And I think that Bruno gets undue stick sometimes from pundits. Do you remember the whole Gary Neville saying that he wanted to come off at Anfield, which he obviously didn't. I don't think Gary Neville's ever corrected that. So I just feel that Bruno Fernandes, he deserves his flowers, he deserves the credit, not just because he scored a hat-trick, but because he has been such an important player for Manchester United. And I would love us to get back to the top. And I say back because it's been a while, winning a title, and him to do like a Brian Robson where he was part of a title winning squad. That would be amazing, and hopefully one day it will happen. Let's talk about Patrick Dorgu. Here's one. This is from ESPN. This is a quote from Ruben Amorim. Patrick Dorgu, I was at the game last night and I saw the penalty being given. I don't watch penalties, right? So I thought I needed the toilet, right? So I thought, right, I'm going to go whilst this penalty's been taken, because I don't watch them anyway. And I came back, and obviously the penalty hadn't been given. They changed their mind or whatever. So I wasn't sure what happened. Then someone said, oh, Dorgu's told the ref it wasn't a penalty. And I thought, behave. But then apparently that was true. So you can see here the quote from Amorim. He was asked about it. He said, it's a good thing. I'm proud of him. I cannot say if it's 0-0 or losing. I have the same response. United went on to score twice after the penalty incident. I mean, very sporting of him to say it wasn't a penalty, but also completely insane. And I think the manager will have a word with him and say, don't be doing that again. Because can you imagine if we needed that penalty and he got knocked out? I mean, look, you don't see that kind of thing very often, and I do like Patrick Dorgu. Yeah, someone in the chat last night said, poor Jay, he's not even seen a goal yet when it was 3 penalties. Yeah, that was actually true. So I do like that sort of throwback to being very sporting, but those days are gone. We don't need to do that. If we get a penalty, we take it. You only argue with the ref when it's given against us. Come on. Play the game, Patrick. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let us know what you think. Heaven Soul says, top 10 football respect moment from Dorgu last night. Dorgu last night. Kenny says, Kino's punditry career is taking the shine off his United career for me. Akash K says, what a class and humble kid Dorgu is. Mick Holland says, Jay, lads were mocking you at 2-1 because you didn't see any goals at the time. Haha, that's true. I didn't. But I knew we'd scored from the reaction of the crowd. Kenny says, if it was Jota, he'd have been stretched off. Yeah, he would have. Yassine says it was a pen, though. Richard Boyd says, what wing back we go for now? That's a good question. There's a few we've been linked with. We'll have to wait and see. Right, let's talk about Dalot. He was speaking after the game as well. Diogo Dalot was revealed he told his Manchester United teammates to get used to this feeling following their 4-1 win, 4-1 Europa League win over Real Sociedad on Thursday night. So yeah, he said get used to this feeling. I hope it's true. Have we got the quotes keep going there? I think we've got them somewhere down the back. There it is. Scroll down a little bit. It was something that I said to my teammates at the end of the game in the stadium. I said, get used to this feeling. Get used to the fans finishing the game and staying here to applaud you. There was a good feeling around the people that are with us every single game. It's just about trying to keep this consistency. I know it's been difficult to be a Man United supporter these last couple of months, but we are giving everything so we can change the situation. Today, I think we gave one more good step towards the direction we want to go. Look, I think Dalot had a very good season last season. I don't think he's had a good season this season. and I'm hoping he can get back to the form we've seen in the past. And, you know, last night could be a step towards that as well, because we need him. We need him firing on all cylinders. We need him to step up and turn up regularly and consistently. Talk about consistency. He's one of those players for me that has to find that consistency. There is a player there. We know that. We've seen it. We just need to see it week in, week out, because I think there's been far too many under par performances from Diogo Dalot this season. Hopefully, if he steps up, him on the right and Dorgu on the left could be something that works for Manchester United, and long may it continue. Let's talk about Marcus Rashford. So, Ornstein here says Rashford set to earn England recall for the World Cup 2026 qualifiers versus Albania and Latvia. 27-year-old winger's last England cap in March 2024, but shining on loan at Villa from United and expected to make Tuchel's squad, but no place for Jack Grealish. It's a weird one with Marcus Rashford, because I think he's got a load of assists, hasn't he, since he's been at Villa. I don't think he's scored yet. And I also think there's the shades of kind of what he was doing at United. Like, people go, oh, he's absolutely smashing it. I think for starters, he's got someone in Asensio, who is the obvious one, who's scoring loads of goals, who's around him. So some of these assists, I'm not criticising the nature of the assists, but they're getting finished, aren't they? Someone's putting them away. Where that might not have always been the case at United. I mean, you go back to that Liverpool game where he's put 2 great balls in for Joshua Zirkzee, you know, didn't finish him. There's been situations like that for Marcus Rashford, not all the time. Listen, let's not kid ourselves. Marcus Rashford was underperforming for Manchester United far too often, and there was obviously issues with his approach and his mindset as well when it came to training and all the rest of it, and the relationship he had with the manager. But I'm not quite buying into this massive rejuvenation of Marcus Rashford that everyone is talking about. I think he's doing well, but I think we've seen this kind of form from Marcus Rashford before. So I'm maybe slightly surprised he's straight back in the England squad. And you know my thoughts on Marcus, I've got a lot of time for him. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know what you think. Am I being a little bit harsh there? Does he warranted it? I mean, I'm looking at the squad there. You can see it. Looking at the forwards, Harry Kane, Jared Bowen, Anthony Gordon, Phil Foden, Marcus Rashford, Dominic Solanke. It is a bit of a mix in it, and I do get the idea as well that Marcus is someone who's got a lot of experience. 27 years old, a lot of England caps, quite a few England goals as well. Been there and thereabouts for some time now, and that helps you. That helps your cause, doesn't it? So yeah, maybe that plays into it as well. I mean, I'm not overly bothered about what goes on with England, to be honest with you. I only look at it from a Manchester United point of view. Just bring that squad, the England squad up again, please. Sorry. Is there any sort of current Manchester United players? I know Rashford's a current United player, but any players that are actually at United? No. That's telling, isn't it? To be honest with you, I say it's telling. It's just telling more about our injuries. Because I think Mason Mount, Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire would all be in there if they were fit. So, Kobbie Mainoo as well, Kobbie Mainoo. So, it just shows you the injuries we've got, because I think there'd be at least another 3 or 4 Manchester United players who make that squad, but they're all injured. So, yeah, I'm not overly bothered, to be honest with you. Tony Field says, morning, Jay, maybe too expensive. I think he's talking about Geovany Quenda, if you just joined us. The big news is that he's heading to Chelsea, not until 2026 though. Someone else has pointed out, Heaven Soul pointed out Mainoo. Yeah, forgive me for missing out Mainoo there, but Mainoo 100% would have been in that England squad if he was fit. I want to see Kobbie Mainoo back, man. I miss Kobbie Mainoo. Let's talk about Sir Jim Ratcliffe. We've not spoken about him for about 5 minutes. Co-owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe has vowed that Manchester United will look after the people in Manchester after addressing the subject of ticket prices for the club's new stadium. I've got a bit more there. I think he said that tickets have to remain affordable, insisting that Mancunians will be at the forefront of the club's thinking. I know this can get people's backups, right? People get a bit annoyed with this when they're like, it's not just about people from Manchester when it comes to supporting Manchester United. And I get that. It isn't. The reason Manchester United are the greatest club in the world is because of our global fan base. And I've seen that firsthand. I've seen it when I've been to places like Australia and Thailand and America and all the rest of it. The United fan base is phenomenal. It's what makes us so good. However, I do think you do, at your home ground, have to have fans from that area. I'm a Mancunian myself. You have to be able to get people who are from the area, who might not have loads of money, through the gate as well. I used to do it. When I started going to Old Trafford, when my dad stopped taking me and I used to go on my own, I was paying penny. It used to be, I mean, this is the 90s, early 90s as well. It was like £4 in the standing bit in the scoreboard paddock. I didn't stand in the Stretford paddock, it was scoreboard paddock for me. But it was affordable. you have that fan base from the area that turn up as well, that make sure you've always got that core local support that I think you need in any club. Not just Manchester United, any club needs that. And the fans that are visiting from afar as well. So I do get the idea of making sure there are fans from the local area that are going to go there. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. Olu Shola Kazal says, saw you at Trafford Tuesday morning. Took a selfie. Oh, Shola, yeah. I saw you there when what we were doing down there. It was the news of the stadium, wasn't it? Yeah. So I was down there doing a bit of news on the stadium. Good to chat to you. Mike Walker says, if you have skin and choose to tell everyone who you'll be trying to buy once you eventually get some money, you can't be upset when other scummy clubs come in and gazump you. Well, there you go. And there's a life lesson from Mr. Walker there. David Holt says, we don't need to spend big as such on players. We need to find bargain gems like Brighton and Bournemouth are doing. We're at that stage at the moment with money we have to spend. I agree with that. I think we do. I think we've done that. I know it's very, very early. But, and I know I'm getting carried away because we beat Sociedad 4-1 and they were both very good. But you look at the Dorgu and Aidan Heaven signings, they weren't huge signings, were they? Money. I mean, Aidan Heaven was pennies. If you can make more signings like that, it's not easy. But if you can do that by young players that might not cost the earth but can fit into this system and have a bright future, then who knows, maybe United will have a bright future as well. I'm going to leave it there. Make sure, if you've not done so already, you are hitting like, share and subscribe. We're going to be back later on. We've got the brew coming up. Uncle Webby is joining us, so you don't want to miss that one. It's always good stuff when Webby's on the channel. Make sure you're hitting like, share and subscribe. I've been Jay Moyer. This has been The Paper Talk. Thanks for watching.